Hey everyone, how you doing today? We have the lovely Anna Kelly back, and I have a question for her that I wanted to ask her specifically of all of my experts. And Anna, that question is it easier or harder to become a millionaire today versus say 2000? Because our investing careers are about the same. So what do you think? Today or 2000?
Well, because I know what I didn't know back then, I could do it over again very quickly. Thank the Lord, because you learn through those 20 years, right?
Yeah.
I think, even with that said, I think that it's easier to become a millionaire today than it probably was
Yeah.
in 2000. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Part of
think
the reason for that, just first thought off at the top of my head, is that there's so much more information.
yeah.
Back when I started real estate investing, I didn't know anyone that invested. There wasn't the internet, or if so, it was very new. There wasn't Bigger Pockets. There weren't shows like this, YouTube. It's like you're on your own. And if you happen to know someone, you might be able to, say, hey, can you show me what you're doing?
Yeah.
But there's so much more information now that there's really no excuse not to at least try to pursue your dreams.
Yeah, that's the big one for me is access to information. And yes, I get the fact that there's a lot of information, but trust me, today versus 2000, I just go back to reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. It changed my mindset. I've given it credit every time I've been asked, but there's no how to in that book. I've read it 50 times. It doesn't say how to do anything, right? It changes your mindset. House is not an asset, buy rentals. That's kind of it. And then I spent a year trying to seek out people like me, right? I was a full-time employee. I was a husband, raising a daughter, uh, already had, the rat race or the wheel was already bigger than I was comfortable with. There was no examples. There was no examples of a full-time employee exiting the rat race with real estate. I just had to roll the dice and learn on the go. I mean, it's so much easier now if you find the right, I don't know, mentor or area or thing. That's the first thing I thought about as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, I tell my son, we talk about him a lot. He's a senior in high school, thinking about what does he want to do in life. And I'm like, listen, the first thing you need to do is get off the video games with your friends. Don't feel like 3 nights a week when you're not in sports, you got to go meet friends for a sub. Get a sub, have them all over, and let's play cash flow, right? Let's play cash flow.
Yes.
Read books, read audio books on your way to these events, your 30-minute drive to soccer every day. I have on Audible, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's read Rich Dad, Poor Dad for kids. Now he's listening to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's read The Richest Man in Babylon. So he's read one rental at a time. So it's like, you've got to educate yourself and choose wisely how you spend your time.
Yeah.
Most people don't achieve what they want in terms of their goals because they don't really want it. They don't understand why they really want it. They don't really know what it is they want, other than I want to have a bunch of money. And therefore, they're not taking the time to fill their minds with the education that's available to them and change their mindset so that they are continuing to pursue what they hope to achieve.
Yeah, that's another great point. So information definitely is easier to now. One of the downsides of today, while you and I look at these devices as moneymakers, right? This is where, I found probably most of my deals in the last 5 years. If you're not careful, if you're not diligent how you're using it, they're huge distractions. Huge. You could waste easily 10% of every day scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever else is hot out there. I tell you, losing 2.5 hours or 2 hours a day, that's not a good look.
Yeah. And unfortunately, even adults are trapped in it. And
Yeah.
Let's be honest, there are days when I don't have anything on my schedule and I don't feel like doing anything. And I'll think, okay, I'm going to read my Bible app. I'm going to go check Facebook. I'm going to make a post. I'll check my email, and then I'm going to jump off. And if I'm really tired and I'm being lazy and sipping stuff, I can look down and go, oh my gosh, I wasted an hour and a half today. Like, I totally wasn't disciplined. And thankfully, it doesn't happen that often. And I do think that there's a balance. There's days when you just need downtime. You just
Sure.
need to be and not have to be on all the time. But for a lot of people, they're mindlessly wasting time without realizing it too often, and then saying they don't have time for anything,
Yes.
And I was guilty of that earlier on when I'd work all day. I had a new baby, my oldest at the time, dealing with him through the middle of the night and then working on our first flip. And it's like, when you're done, then you're like, I'm done. And then, I'd watch 2 or 3 hours of TV at night and wonder why I'm so exhausted. So I quit watching TV. 90% of my days, I never turn on the television. I make sure I'm not scrolling Facebook for more than about 10 minutes. And part of how I've disciplined myself, and I think that this is important for people that want to become a millionaire, is you've got to discipline your time and know where you're spending your time. Just like we say, you need to know where you're spending your money. Your time needs to be planned, and you need to be accountable to your calendar. So time blocking my entire day from the moment I wake up until the moment I go to bed, literally it says, wake up, brush your teeth, work out, get the kids ready for school, work out, devotions, take a shower, take your vitamins at night, put the kids in bed, 30 minutes, check this or that, 10 o'clock to bed. Like, I live to my schedule. Because if you become accountable to your schedule and you've time blocked your schedule with all the priorities that you're responsible for and you want to achieve, as long as you're disciplined enough to control your time and do what it is you've committed to yourself, you can become a millionaire and do really well at any business that you want to do very quickly by just taking action every day.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something everybody needs to appreciate. It's said a lot, but not everybody really gets it. Whether you're a billionaire or, not, you still only have 24 hours in the day. That's a constraint everybody has. Yeah. The other thing that I think is interesting when I think about now versus 20 years ago is access to money, right? It was very different, at least for me 20 years ago. And it's maybe because I just didn't know, but like, I thought conventional financing was all I could do. And now with all this fix and flip money out there and all these people doing hard money and private money, there's just more access, I think, to money today.
For sure. If I had known about private money and hard money when I got started, I no doubt would have gone so much more quickly. But it goes back to that lack of information, and also it not being readily available and out in your face. Now I get 5-10 emails a week from lenders that are like, we want to lend to you.
Yeah, me too.
Facebook posts. We're private lenders, and there are a lot of people who are private lenders and a lot of hard money lenders, and their credit requirements surprisingly are not crazy. Their rates are high, but if I can pay 12% interest on something, interest only, and make 50 grand, doing it in a couple months, sure. I might pay for that. So the money's there. You just got to be able to find the people that'll give it to you, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, for me, it's access to deals, right? Again, 20 years ago, I mean, the internet was around, but the smartphone wasn't. So you had to be plugged in. Wi-Fi was not great. So you had to be special access places. And the ability to network, right? Back then it was really phone calls and in person. Now, you could network with over Zoom calls or whatever you want. So yeah. I don't want to.
That was the next one I was going to say.
Yeah.
Too, access to network. I mean, we're connected to, you and I've never met in person, and you're in California and I'm in Pennsylvania, and we've become friends and we do a lot, and so it's like, you get to know people that are doing what you're doing. And it's like birds of a feather flock together, right?
Oh, yeah.
So find other people that are doing what you want to do, learn from them, and then take that action. And it's not, we've said this before, it's not rocket science. It's not that complicated. It is not easy. It's hard. It's hard work, just like any business, but it's not that complicated. It's just a matter of take the proven steps, follow the right information, network with the right people, find the money to take down the deals. And if you want to do it through real estate, it's probably going to happen more quickly than through any business, unless you just happen to be, the next Shania Twain, or I'm dating myself, the next Carrie Underwood, the next I Lopez on YouTube, or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Real estate is a pretty proven track record if you take the right steps and surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah. And then the one that kind of closed it out for me is what you just said, is the path to becoming a millionaire is not that much different today versus 20 years ago. I mean, just think about it, right? Especially if you're a real estate investor, it's kind of the same path. It's just better access to information, better network, more money, faster information. There are downsides because, again, you can get, like we said, get distracted, waste your time. There are bad actors in real estate, people that don't have experience, the gurus that you talk about. But yeah, I mean, It would be, I mean, I remember that first year after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think I went to a bookstore, a Borders or whatever the other one was, every weekend for almost a year. Just like, I want to find someone like me. There was no one, right? You were either a real estate
Yes.
agent or, your family had units. There's no full-time employees doing this. It might not be possible. Screw it. I'm doing it anyway.
Yes, that's so true. When I bought my first property, my second property, my first flip, I did not know a single soul
Yeah,
who actively invested in real estate.
me
I
neither.
knew a couple very wealthy clients who owned some real estate, probably passive. I didn't know enough to ask them detailed questions at that point, but I felt alone.
Yeah.
Like I read a book and I know somebody's doing it. I read Multifamily Millions by Dave Lindahl. And I was like, this guy's pretty smart. Maybe I can buy a property instead of leasing office space, right? And then I bought a rental. But it was like, I didn't know anybody for 5 years of investing, not a single person that did real estate. So I was trying to figure out on my own. I didn't have anyone to tell me when the banks told me no,
Yeah.
hey, there's another way. You don't have to wait and just keep building equity. Just go talk to a private money lender.
Yeah.
So I can't stress enough when people ask me, what would you do differently? The main thing, I would reach out and try to find a network of other people that are doing what I wanted to do and not try to totally go it alone, figure it out on my own. And so that's available today, or even back in 2007, 8, and 9, unless you were a property flipper and there were some flipping networks and shows, you really didn't have, much of a network.
I love that word. You felt alone. Same. I mean, I felt like I don't want to call it curing cancer. I'm trying, like, I don't know, solving the Rubik's Cube, which I was never able to do. So I just took the stickers off and moved them around. But that's what it felt like to me, right? Is I'm trying to do something that no one else has done. And I knew that was wrong. I mean, I knew others had. I knew real estate was the path for most people, but damn it, I couldn't find it. I just couldn't find an example. It was frustrating.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? I know this is a little off topic, but I think it's a great analogy too. So you talk Rubik's Cube. So like, you're like, I couldn't figure it out. So I moved the stickers.
Yeah.
When I couldn't figure it out, and I was usually pretty good, I could, but if I couldn't, I'm like, I am tearing the sucker apart. And I took all the pieces apart, I put them back together. And then I go show my mom, look what I did. Oh, you're so smart. I'm thinking, I'm not smart. I'm just creative. Right. But getting creative, like learn how everybody else is doing it, but there's not just one way, right? So there's different ways. And the key to really becoming a millionaire over time and being successful in real estate is get creative, find what you're good at and do it that way, right? You don't have to follow the same path as everybody else. You gotta keep going and figuring out a way to get it done.
Oh, I love this conversation. This is a lot of fun. I look forward to number 3. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.